Most all-season tires are sold on one promise: no drama. They are supposed to be the safe, sensible middle ground that handles commuting, rain, highway miles, and the occasional cold snap without giving you a reason to think about them. But that is exactly why the bad ones are such a problem. A weak all-season tire usually does not fail in some flashy, obvious way. It just chips away at confidence every day with sloppy, wet road grip, disappointing tread life, noisy highway manners, or winter traction that falls apart the moment the weather turns ugly. So this list is not about tires that are literally unusable. It is about the all-season tires that are hardest to recommend in 2026 when you compare them with what else is available right now. The warning signs are simple: low owner recommendation rates, weak wet and winter survey scores, poor treadwear results, and older OEM-style designs that feel dated next to stronger modern alternatives. If one of these tires comes on a used car, or a shop offers it as the cheap replacement option, this is where you slow down and think twice. Here are 5 all-season tires I would avoid first. At number 5, the Nexon AH8 lands on this list because it looks acceptable at first glance, then starts losing the argument once you compare the details. This is a standard touring all-season tire that still has decent dry road manners, and that is the main reason it is not ranked even worse. On Tire Rack's current survey page, the Enprise AH8 sits at 67% recommended with about 1.6 million miles reported. Dry performance is its clearest strength, posting a 7.3 score, and treadwear comes in at 6.3. Those numbers are not disastrous. The trouble starts in the places where an all-season tire is supposed to protect your daily peace of mind. Wet performance is only 6.4, winter or snow is 4.2, and comfort is just 6.1. That is a lot of mediocrity packed into one tire. This kind of tire can fool people because it does not look terrible in every category. But all-season buyers are not shopping for one bright spot. They are paying for balance. If the tire is only decent in the dry and starts getting sketchier in rain, slush, or colder weather, the whole point begins to fall apart. That is why the Nexon opens the list. It is not the most alarming option here, but it is one of those tires that becomes very easy to pass over once you see how many stronger all-season alternatives exist at similar money. And the next tire has an even weaker overall case. At number 4, the Dunlop Innoc01F shows how an efficiency-focused all-season tire can end up feeling like too much compromise. Dunlop positions it as an energy-saving all-season option, and that sounds fine until you look at how much capability seems to get traded away in the process. The current Tire Rack survey page shows 64% recommended and about 1.3 million miles reported. Wet performance sits at 6.2%, winter or snow at 4.3, comfort at 6.2, and treadwear at 5.5. Dry scores are better at 7.0, but that is not enough to rescue it. When buyers start reporting short tread life and shaky confidence in bad weather, an all-season tire has missed the brief. That is really the issue here. An all-season tire does not need to be thrilling, it just needs to feel dependable. But the Innoc01F is more like a tire you tolerate than one you trust. Even the stronger owner comments usually drift back toward the same theme. Decent enough in easy conditions, then less convincing once the roads are wet or winter shows up. If you drive mostly in dry, mild weather and care about squeezing a little more efficiency out of the car, you might live with it. But that is a narrow use case for something sold as an all-season solution. For most drivers in 2026, this is a tire with too many trade-offs and too little payoff. And the next one has even more trouble living up to the category name. At number 3, the Firestone Affinity Touring lands in a frustrating spot because it sounds like exactly the sort of smooth, long-wearing, comfort-focused, all-season tire people think they want. Firestone even describes it as a quiet, durable touring option with year-round traction. On paper, that pitch should be easy to like. But the owner survey data is a lot less flattering. Tire Rack currently shows just 59% recommended, with about 18 million miles reported, which is a massive amount of real-world usage. Wet scores are only 5.4. Winter or snow comes in at 4.0. Comfort is 5.8, and treadwear is 5.5. Firestone does list a 50,000-mile treadwear warranty on replacement purchases, but the survey data still paints a tire that underdelivers where buyers expect basic year-round competence. That huge mileage total matters. This is not a tiny sample where a handful of bad reviews drag the rating down. This is a tire with a very long public record, and the weaknesses are familiar by now: mediocre wet grip, weak winter confidence, and an ownership experience that too often sounds underwhelming instead of reassuring. That is what makes the Affinity Touring such an easy tire to skip in 2026. Even if it feels acceptable in dry commuting, there are simply too many better standard touring tires available now to justify settling for one with this kind of long-term signal behind it, and the next tire drops even lower while giving you less room to make excuses for it. At number 2, The Yokohama Evids 34D is the kind of OEM-style all-season tire that really shows why people should not assume factory fitment automatically means quality. This tire is still listed in the market, but the numbers around it are rough enough that it is hard to defend as a replacement choice in 2026. On Tire Rack, the Evids 34D sits at 57% recommended, with about 1 million miles reported. Wet performance is just 5.8%, comfort is 4.8%, tread wear is an ugly 3.8%, and winter or snow lands at 3.9. Those are weak scores for a tire that is supposed to cover everyday all-season duty without drama. It also carries no tread wear warranty on the replacement page, which makes the weak tread wear result even harder to swallow. If a tire is going to be this ordinary in wet and winter use, it really needs to make up for it somewhere else. The Evid S34D does not. Dry road behavior is good enough at 7.6, but that is not close to enough compensation for the rest of the package. This is exactly the type of tire I would replace early instead of trying to convince myself it is fine. It may be serviceable in mild dry commuting, but that is too low a bar for an all-season tire in 2026. And the tire at number 1 has an even broader record of disappointing drivers. At number 1, the Bridgestone Teranza EL400-02 takes the top spot because it has the strongest mix of poor recommendation rate, weak category scores, and enough survey history that the warning signs are impossible to shrug off. This is not a fringe tire with a tiny sample. It is one of the clearest examples of an all-season tire that has aged badly against modern competition. Tire Rack's current page shows only 54% recommended with roughly 22 million miles reported. That is brutal. Wet performance is 5.2%, winter or snow is 3.2%, comfort is 5.5%, and tread wear falls to 4.4%. The page also shows no tread wear warranty on current replacement purchases, which is a tough look when durability is already one of the major complaints. And this is where the ranking really locks in. Some low-rated tires have one obvious flaw and one clear redeeming trait. The Teranza EL400-02 does not offer enough of a rescue story. Dry behavior is merely fair at 6.4, not exceptional. Comfort is mediocre. Tread wear is poor. Wet confidence is underwhelming. Winter traction is weak. For a tire sold as a year-round touring solution, that is too many misses in too many important categories. So this is the number 1 tire to avoid in this countdown. If it comes on the car, you can drive it carefully until replacement time if conditions are mild. But if you are actively shopping, there is no strong reason to choose it over the better all-season tires now sitting above it in the market. In 2026, this is the easiest skip on the board. So the list comes together like this. The Nexon AH8 starts as a mediocre all-season that simply does not balance the category well enough. The Dunlop Innoc01F gives away too much in weather performance and tread life. The Firestone Affinity Touring has a long history of underwhelming real-world feedback. The Yokohama Evids S34D is an OEM-style tire with too many weak spots and too little upside. And the Bridgestone Teranza EL400-02 finishes as the hardest tire here to justify in 2026. If one of these shows up on a quote, do not panic. Just do not default to yes. Check the recommendation rate, check the wet and winter scores, and compare them with stronger current options before you spend the money. A boring all-season tire should make your car easier to live with, not harder to trust. If you want more tire rankings that cut through the marketing and focus on real ownership experience, subscribe and stick around, because sometimes the smartest tire purchase starts with knowing what not to buy.